Yo guys. It is Old Man G here, RDS, back again for another. It's been a long time I've done one of these live streams. I don't think I've done a live stream since the end of the World Cup, where we were live streaming a lot of watch-alongs and games. But it's the new season, it's back. We've got a lot to talk about. First and foremost, the breaking news of Baleba. Here we go. But this is going to be a Baleba stream, a transfer stream, a United preview stream, predictions for the game against Hull, not to mention the fact that we need to do our Premier League predictions as well. But before we get into it, guys, remember if you are new to the channel to like, share, and subscribe to Red Devil Studio. Follow us on Twitter at Red Devil Studio X, also on Twitch, which we're streaming to now as well. Also my second channel, Red Devil Studio Extra, as a second channel. Please subscribe to that as well, because I do want to do a lot more stuff on that regarding Champions League and things like that. We are going to be obviously watching the Champions League. We're back in the Champions League, that's going to be really good as well. But yeah, guys, just get involved, get involved, get involved. It's going to be a big season. I wish I could watch long the game tomorrow, but unfortunately I'll be working. So let's just have a good show. Let's have a good show. But before we get into it, shout out to Atonement in the chat as he's put here. Yeah, like and subscribe on the way. One big up, Mod Atonement. Follow me on the eyes on Twitter, and also my red Marvel Red Devil Multiverse. Please subscribe to that. Some good content on that as well, different things, so please subscribe to that as well. Okay, let's get into the big news here already. And as you can see, Fabrizio Romano has posted it. It's obviously been breaking in the last hour or so. Fab has posted it. Ornstein has confirmed it. Jacobs has confirmed it as well. Breaking news: Carlos Baleba to Manchester United. Here we go. Verbal agreement in place between clubs. Improved bid sent today with a 65 million package rejected, and player set to join the club he wanted. So from what I can gather as well, it seems, and I think if I just go back, let's see Fabrizio's tweet, because I think he's posted a follow-up one. Oh, Bournemouth have signed the goalkeeper. Shout out to Arsenal winning as well. I mean, they're going to win the league back to back on it, let's be real. Yeah, United understand Carlsberg University will be 65 million plus 5 million add-ons. Cameron midfield is authorised travel from Brighton. Manchester United booked a medical over the weekend. And from what I can see, I think with Ben Jacobs has said that the deal, I think, is a 5 year plus one add-on. United are obviously going to also be they're going to be I think they're putting a sell-on clause in it as well. So obviously that makes a big difference as well, regarding how we obviously manage Baleba sort of going forward. I mean, this is why I assumed that, they went for Baleba. The Ineos pathway seems to be, with a few exceptions like Tillemans, right? We want to buy players that we can potentially sell on, for profit, for good things, and that's essentially what they want to do, effectively. So you go for Baleba instead of a Kone, for example, maybe someone slightly more experienced. Whereas you look at Spurs, and Spurs, it was literally just, we want to rebuild the team. We just want to sign really good players and rebuild the team. I highly doubt that they want to sell on Tonali or sell on Sabina that they bought, or sell on Fernandez, etc. They just want to rebuild the team and compete. Arguably, that's what I would have liked Manchester United to do, but that is not where we are as a football club right now. It just is what it is. Um, I'll put obviously a poll in the chat, as to what you guys think. It'll be on the main Red Devil Studio channel, by the way, so because I can't I can't um, I can't put upon the different things. But if you are watching on Red Devil Studio Extra, please let me know in the comments. So what we're going to do is, are you happy? Fundamentally, it's this: are you? And this will be go on in the post in the on the channel. But are you happy with the Baleba signing? Arguably, the question is, are you happy with United's transfer window in general so far? Because obviously there is 2 weeks left. I still do find it odd that the transfer window. I've just posted that poll there, so let me know, yes or no. I still do think it's odd, that we have a the league has started and we've still got the window going on. So who knows what's going to happen? Obviously, if rumours to have it, I think there's a few things going on. I think obviously Fabrizio has said, That there's rumours that if Xerxes goes, for example, United will want to go in for a striker. So I think if Xerxes goes, you're looking at maybe someone like Mateta, for example. But I think the big thing is a left back. I think for me, um, the United usually sign four signings to improve the squad every summer. We've essentially signed the midfield rebuild. Whatever you say, it is the midfield rebuild. You signed Tillemans, you've signed Santos, and you signed Baleba, two of whom are risks. Um, Tillemans is obviously Premier League proven, but he's on the slightly older side. He doesn't have a lot of legs, um, though he's got his talent. Um, and Santos. I mean, Chelsea fans didn't want Santos to go, so fair enough. But they were he wasn't like a starter for Chelsea, and Baleba obviously did not have a great season last season, and is coming off from an injury. So you have two risks there. Obviously, you've got main, and we're gonna do a starting 11 um, uh, formation because with the midfield now, well, now that you've got Tillemans, now you've got Baleba, now you've got Santos, well, who starts? Because Michael Carrick, as far as I can see, plays a 4-3-3, and Bruno is going to play. So if Bruno plays, who's going to play in the presumably the 10, a more advanced position? Who are the two that are going to play behind? Are you going to bring in, and obviously Mainu wants to play, so you bring in Fernandez and then Mainu, and then you bring in like Baleba, does he come in? And then you then have to then have Tillemans and Santos off the bench. But having said that, it is a long season. It is a long season, so we'll definitely see what happens. Um, um, but yeah, am I? I'll be honest, guys. Am I kind of like really hyped with the midfield sort of situation that we've got? It's not 100%. I'm not unhappy, um, but I wouldn't say that I'm like, yeah, this is this is what I wanted. You know, I wouldn't say this is 100% what I wanted going into, um, going into the season. And I do think that we need to, still need to get a left back. I think um, that is imperative. It's imperative that Manchester United get a left back. To be honest, because Luke Shaw just isn't it. Luke Shaw is not enough, guys. Guys, Luke Shaw is not enough. Okay, Luke Shaw is not enough for Manchester United. Um, I know that Maswara can play there and did okay there for Morocco, but we're going to be competing in full competition now, and we need the depth. And you can see one of the reasons why I think Arsenal are going to defend the title again is because they've got a solid team already, and they're added onto the depth. Whereas City have lost one of their key players, and so far have not replaced them. They've not replaced their holding and not replaced Rodri. Baldi and Anderson are not Rodri replacements, in my opinion. You look at Liverpool, goodness knows what Liverpool have done barely any business. I don't know what Liverpool are doing. We've done more business than them. Newcastle have lost tons of players. Um, Chelsea have signed Morgan Rogers and the Chelsea the Crystal Palace defender, but I think that's about it. And obviously Spurs have done what they've done. So I expect a lot from Spurs, and we'll come to that in my Premier League prediction. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna just quickly see if I can let me just quickly have a look and see um, um, let's just see what some of the other people are saying. So I'll just share this tab so everyone can hopefully see that instead. Um, so yeah, so obviously this was obviously Fabrizio's tweet. Ornstein obviously posted saying Carlos Baleba was to Manchester United to join Manchester from Brighton and Hove Albion on a 5+1 year contract. Personal terms verbally agreed, and 20-year-old to do emergency medical on Saturday. So after the whole game, after deal struck with Brighton FC, 65 plus sell-on clause, they said at the Athletic Post at Fabrizio Romano. So I love Ornstein, so like, I don't want Fabrizio. For me, Fabrizio and Ornstein, so if Fabrizio retires, it's a shame. Um, um, for me, I don't know why people pitted him and Ornstein together because they have a kind of respectful relationship, and for me, they are the transfer gurus in another level. Ben Jacobs now has kind of comes under that a little bit, because he at least doesn't post in like reactionary stuff, and then everyone else is just under. There's not that many people that come close to that, to be honest, and I include Pletigo in that. We obviously told that from Fabrizio as well. I think did Ben Jacobs, Sky reported it as well. Yeah, here. So Ben Jacobs, Manchester United delighted with the Carlos Baleba deal. Feeling a year ago was Brighton wanted Moses Caicedo type money, even though price never offered. 12 months ago, Manchester were prepared to pay around 75 million. They now add Baleba for 5 million less. Baleba will sign on 100 years. So of course Manchester United are happy. They've obviously, paid less. Um, what else? Duh, 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 duh. Half Brits broke the agreement first. So respect it. I don't know. I don't know why people go out for Fabrizio, to be honest. Um, yeah, mood to be formalized at the weekend and stuff. So yeah, pretty much everyone I think is sort of in about that. Like you've got your James Fabrizio, so they're all in agreement that this deal is a go. This deal is happening. Fix 65. I think, to be honest, whatever people say, I think that it's good value for money in this market. Um, there was no way that Manchester United were going to be paying like 80 plus million for one midfielder. That's the impression that I got anyway. I think they wanted the resale value on. People, I think, look at it as, oh, why don't Manchester United pay, instead of paying 60 something million for all these individual players, why don't they just pay 80 million for etc. And I just think it pretty just comes down to resale value. You can potentially Tillerman's okay, no, maybe not as much, or at least you don't. If you're going to sell him, you might sell him for still a reasonable amount. But with Santos and Baleba, with how young they are and the potential they are, they're going to you want some resale value in there. That is what I assume anyway. Um, but the United midfield looks interesting now. You had dead leg Casemiro who scored goals first, and I think that that's going to be important. A big miss next time, but um, now you've got Bruno, you've got Mainu, you've got Tillemans, you've got Baleba, and now you've got Santos. There's five midfielders there, plus or minus any youth that might sort of come in and slot into that as well, because obviously there are the youth talents that are there that might come in. I'm sure they will. Thank God we don't have to use Mason Mount. Like I was getting slightly worried that Mason Mount was going to be this sort of you know, player that we're going to use who is going to somehow come into the team and and play. He was going to somehow come into the team and be a midfielder. That was my worry, guys. My worry was that this guy was going to come in and be, you know, a midfielder for us. It wasn't. Oh, big up Rajat, man. Hope you're doing well, man. Big up Rajat. Long time, long time. Um, I was worried that Mason Mount was going to be the guy. Okay, hopefully everyone can hear me as well, by the way. I assume you can. I've streamed for 17 minutes. Um, but I thought he was going to be the guy. I genuinely thought that they were wanting to, you know, um, use him as the midfield in case they didn't want to bid for Baleba or anything like that. They were going to just sort of make do and then just go and do something else. Thankfully, actually, let me just check 1 second. Sorry. Okay, cool. I'm fine. So I just wanted to check my mic. I'm paranoid. I've done that before where my mic has been working. So, but I'm good. Um, yeah, I generally thought that they were going to potentially push for Mount being in the midfield. This signing means that that doesn't happen. I'd argue this signing means that Mount stays at Manchester United are numbered, because I think he might be going into his final year either this year or next. And I just don't. Well, we're not resigning him. It's like, yeah, he's a good player, he's great, but yeah, he's not. You know, when you really look at this team, and we'll go on to it when we look at the ball, it's like I actually don't even know how Mount even comes back into this team. Where does he play? Where does he fit now? Because midfield wise, it's packed. You know, you've got five midfielders now: Bruno, um, uh, Bruno, Tillemans, Mainu, Santos, and obviously Baleba. Um, and then you got Cunha coming in there. You've got Sesko coming in as well. You've got Ambuemo. You've got Ahmad. Attacking wise, obviously Rashford potentially staying. So there's that as well. So I don't know where you fit, and you got a depth of squad there. United got riches finally. Maybe not as rich as other teams, but there's a depth of squad there. Um, and the reality is that I don't know where someone like Mason Mount fits right now. To be honest, I don't know. I don't know where he fits. It just is what it is. But yeah, let me know what you think in the chat, guys, and also in the poll. I mean, if I just have a look at the poll here. Yeah, I think it seems that at least most people are so far anyway are happy with the Baleba signing. At least that seems to be the impression that I get. But the poll will still be there. It's obviously breaking news. Presumably, it will probably, I would suspect, be announced next week, and obviously we'll look at the fixtures and stuff like that as well. But yeah, I think that um, it's like I said. Is it? I'm content, I think is the word. I'm content just because we've signed three midfielders, um, and we needed to. I think that um, leg wise, I think that at least Santos and Baleba will have more legs capacity to run, hopefully, um, than what we had beforehand, where people just. I want to be able to at least have a United midfield where people just don't just bypass it. For so many years, I've watched Manchester United midfields with Matic and Casemiro and McTominay and others, where like it's just been so easy to just go from midfield because our midfield just isn't. Not that it's not physical enough, but just that it's a little bit strong. Big up, buddy. Big up, man. Big up, man. Um, but that it's just, I just don't think it has the legs to compete with other midfields. It's just easy to sort of gone through, and so we're having to go wide or long, etc. If Carrot can at the very least create or have midfield where like it's difficult for us to be played through, for me that will be a significant improvement. So that's my 2 cents with that, I think. um but let me know what you think. Remember, guys, if you're watching, to like, share and subscribe to Red Devil Studio, bottom right hand corner. But we might come back to obviously the Belabor news soon as well. But I think what would be good um, to do now is do a little bit of a what was this? Oh, accidentally click no. Oh yeah, so that you would know, right? Okay, don't worry about it. Yeah, I think generally speaking, I gather a lot of people are content and are happy with the Belabor signing, so which is good. So I think I think that is good, and like I said, I'm content with it as well. I'm just would I have liked to have had Tonali or Fernandez or Anderson or some of those other players? Yes, I think I would have, but I'm not going to complain. We've signed midfielders. I'm backing them. Let's see what happens. Um, so let's quickly go. I was going to go onto the fixture list, but actually, what I might do now, um, Eels, is let's try and build this. So what I'll do now is I'll share this tab now, and what we're going to do now is we're going to try and build this Manchester United starting 11. I'm not what my thoughts are. Then we'll probably go into some fixtures, what fixtures are. 'Cause didn't do a fixture. reaction, and then we'll probably go into just the actual Premier League tier list reaction, not reaction, but predictions, etc. So, and we'll sort of round up with a brief preview on Hull versus United and what my score predictions are. So that's essentially going to be the thingy of the channel. Um, so 2 seconds. So I'll make sure. So clip this. Helps me to get these things in. So United starting 11 here. Okay, so with my obviously predicting 11, I think for this season, I think going forward, assuming everyone is fit, that's the case. Obviously just assuming it's got to be assuming everyone is fit, that's going to play and it's going to start. Um, what I have, obviously Lemons is going to be the number one. That's not going to change. So I'll just add him here. So add the goalkeeper here. I don't know why he has a weird face there, but okay. So yeah, so Sean Lemons, he's gonna be our goalkeeper. So he's in goal there. That is it, isn't it? Yeah, but okay. Um, Now the defense is interesting. Um, I mean, at right back for me, after it's got to be Mouse. It's got to be Mouse for me. It's after what he did in the World Cup. Dallo squad depth. Um, we'll see. Um, the centre back pairing is interesting. Because I think he'll go Maguire and Lisandro. Um, but you're and Edward Heaven are there. Um, but I think probably he will he Maguire is. I don't know if I'm honest. I mean, if it was me, I would probably go Hayden and Maguire. I mean, actually, let me do this. I want the best of them. Maguire is good at heading, but it's the pace. And let me think. Where is he? Hayden. Is he not on here? That is weird. Hayden. I don't know where he is. I might have to put Maguire in after all. Let's see. Where's this Hayden guy? Let's have a look again. So let me check. Let's see if Euros here. Yeah, Lenny Euros here. Oh, Heaven. Yeah, Aiden Heaven. That's it. Yeah, there we go. See, I would put Heaven there, and then I would put Lisandro for me when he's back, because he can also come into the midfield and help us as well. Um, that's what I would do. And then Maguire can come in. Maguire can come in when like against Arsenal. Like I play Maguire against Arsenal, for example, when you know you're going to get balls into the box, you need people to head the ball, physicality, etc. Now left back is the one that's interesting. As of now, it's Shaw, but Shaw for me is not good enough. Um, I don't want to play Dallo there either. So for me, I'm gonna have to leave this one blank, because I just can't have another season where Luke Shaw is there or Dallo is thing there. I don't know why I've not got a left back. Um, I know that Dorgu, who I've forgotten as attacker, who's also there, um, can play there, and maybe there's an argument, that if we don't get a left back, I think Dorgu is better up there, but if we don't have a choice, do you put him there? I don't know. I don't know. I just can't. I can't have another season um, with Luke Shaw playing left back. I can't have another season with Luke Shaw playing left back, guys. I can't. But I'm gonna leave that blank for now. Um, and this is where it gets interesting. This midfield, um, because in fact I think it'll be a 4-2-1. Where's the formation here? I think it'll be a 4-2. Um, is this 4-2-1? Not 4-2-1-3. 4-2. Um, 4-2-3-1 probably. Yeah, something like that. I think. Um, I could be wrong though. And Bob, by all means, correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. Um, but I think you'll probably have um, will Santos start? I mean, it's easy for me to put Bruno here because Bruno's gonna start. He's going to, unless he doesn't sign a new contract. But he's probably gonna start as things stand. Because they want to keep him. Um, so you got these two. You got your right. Is it going to be Ahmad? Well, I mean, up top, when fit, assuming it's going to be Sesko, unless you get a new striker. Obviously, this is assuming everyone's fit, etc. But he's a striker, right? One Bremo. Um, you play Bremo there. I suspect it's tough, man. Now that they sign all these players, it's really, really tough. And this is supposed to be the best 11. Um, so it is going to be Sesko there because I still think Sesko is more of a number 9 than Buemo, although Buemo can do a very good job. Um, so then who do you put on the right? Who do you put on the left? And on the left, you now have Rashford, you have Dorgu, and you have Cunha. On the right, you have Ahmad and Buemo. Um, and Ahmad looks good. And I still think Ahmad on the right is the way to go. Um, compared to Mbuemo. So I'm going to put Ahmad just. But Mbuemo could definitely be there. And then here, I love Dorgu, but he's obviously just come back from an injury. You've got to place Cunha there. Cunha had a good World Cup compared to and you've got to fit Cunha in this team somehow. With someone the quality of Cunha, you've got to fit him into the team somehow. He's just got that oomph. Um, now, you know, the two he's not gonna he's English. Carrick is English. He's not gonna drop Manu. So I think Manu is still gonna be there. And so who you partner with Manu, then it's probably gonna be this is the thing. It's like we have a midfield rebuild, but two of the midfielders, i.e. Tillemans and Santos, aren't in this team. Because I think that when Baleba is fit, it will be Baleba because he's more of a uh, Carlos Baleba here. He's more of a DM, although he likes to go forward. Um, it'll be between him and Santos, I would suspect that's there, but probably Baleba will be the preference because that's what United wanted. Um, and you'll have these two here, or maybe him and Santos mainly. But I'm just going on just because Mainu's English and English bias. I'm sure Calc will want to get to work because there'll be pressure from Mainu and all the rest of it, etc. But it is interesting that for all the talk about the midfield rebuild, I've not been able to get Tillemans or Santos into this team. And the only new signing is Baleba and possibly this new left back. Otherwise, everything is pretty much the same, which is not inherently a bad thing considering how, successful Manchester United have been last season in terms of scoring goals. For me, that was the key. Last season, we're scoring a lot of goals, especially under Carrick when allowed to attack. Um, it's just that we need to tighten up our defence, and more importantly, we needed to sort of completely kill off games. Um, have we tightened up the defence? Have we got a bit of protection from the back? I'm not so sure yet. I still think this side is a weakness. We need that left back to help us bomb on. We are going to need a replacement both for our fullbacks because Maswari, I mean, he did go up quite a bit from Morocco, but I'm not sure. he'll do the same for United. But I still think there's weaknesses here, but not so much that I don't think that we should not at least get top five, um, qualify for the Champions League, and get a decent cup run. For me, the whatever people say, I think the expectations for me of this season right now are about, um, maintenance, maintenance. Okay, we did finish third. Would it be nice to step up and become second? Yes, yeah, it'd be great if we could become second. It would. Um, but you know, what's the likelihood that we're going to become second? We're going to come second, and I'm not sure. Oh, big up, Stephanie, man. Thank you for tuning in, Stephanie. Thank you for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts on what the Baleba transfer, your thoughts on Baleba, as well as this starting 11, because I don't know about you, but this starting 11, I mean, it's not a fixed starting 11, but I think this is, I would suspect this might be. I mean, maybe Carrick brings in Maguire and wants him to play him. So, but Maguire's probably going to be injured. He's only in 1 year. I've left back blank because I just don't think I can have another season of Shaw as a left back. And I don't want Dallo there either. So we need to buy one. But as I've said, the midfield rebuild, I just don't know how he can't drop Bruno, and Mainu, wants to play. I mean, he has to play. So the only player I can see, um, joining into that is Baleba, really, because he's probably more of of a defensive player, um, than uh, than well, definitely Dorman Tillemans is, and maybe slightly more than, slightly. I say that in a word, slightly more than Santos. But the depth is there, and I think that's the key thing. The key thing about this is the depth. The depth is actually there. Now you can actually bring in players. You can bring in, um, if Baleba is injured now, for example, which I think he is apparently, is at least until, was it mid-September or something? You know, you can bring in Santos. You know, too soon for Cunha and Mane. Is that because of World Cup? Is that because? I mean, I'm going to get to my preview against Hull in a second, because this is more about who I think the best United starting 11 is in for the season. And I've left back bank, and obviously United could still get a striker, could still get could still different things. Um, so big up RSC, man. Long time no see, man. Yeah, a new season, a new challenge, a new season, a new challenge. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. I think I'll just quickly look at I think, most people are happy with the signing, so that's good. That's encouragement. Um, yeah, I don't think I'll get to my preview, for because beginning of this stream we did a good chunk on reacting to the Baleba news. Now what this part section is just about, the United, starting 11, and my thoughts on that, on what I think is the best United starting 11. After this, I'm gonna have a quick. We're gonna have a quick look at some of the fixtures, and see realistically what United should expect to get from at least their first 10 games. Um, then I'll quickly do my Premier League predictions and the tier list, and then we'll end the stream with previewing the whole game. Because yeah, I agree with you. I don't think this is gonna be with Stephanie. I don't think this is gonna be, um, the starting lineup against Hull, but I do think that this is close to what the best United team is going to be for this season, and it looks like. And to be fair, this is a United team where, on its day, it could be any of the teams. That's the encouragement I get. This team can be Arsenal. It can beat City. It can beat Liverpool. It can beat Newcastle. It can beat any team. Potentially, though, it could also lose to any team. And that's where we are, I think, as a fan base right now. Baleba improves as provides midfield entry. Exactly. That's why for me, um, this midfield is probably going to be the midfield. Baleba, Mainu, and Fernandez. Um, with, I don't know, maybe Tillemans coming in, um, I don't know. I actually don't know how Tillemans comes in here because Tillemans, can he play? He can, he can place in the eight position. He can play. I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see how Carrick adapts, being a midfielder, to how he uses them. But it doesn't really matter because with the amount of games that we have in the Carabao Cup, with the amount of games that we have in the Champions League and FA Cup, etc., we need the rotation. I've got no doubt that we're going to have players that are going to injured, etc. So it's important. Honestly, this is our best midfield since '08 when we had Scholes, Carrick, Hargreaves, Fletcher, Anderson, Parker. Bro, I mean, the sad thing about that is you're probably right. It's been probably since Fergie days since we said, right, because there was a time when you had Pogba, Herrera, Matic, etc., where you thought that they would kind of click, but they didn't. Um, this one, especially because the midfield looks like it's quite young, I think could do something. I do think that Santos and Baleba are still risks because they're still young. But you know, Santos obviously has had some Premier League experience. Baleba's definitely Premier League experience, although last season wasn't that great. Um, so we've got players that have played in the Premier League. Tillemans, enough said. So, they're not. It's not like they're coming from nothing. Um, but I agree. Just like I agree with Stephanie's point. I think they. I think whatever anyone says, our midfield has improved. It definitely has improved. Um, Big up David T man, hope you're doing well. We will get a left back, I believe. Bro, I hope so. I've left that left back position blank because I cannot have another season as Luke Shaw as a left back. I don't mind if Luke Shaw gives us some stuff from the bench, Dallo from the bench or that, etc. But I'm tired of, we either United's left back position last season has been weird because we've either um basically let Dallo makeshift there for us, or we punted on Malasia, who wasn't great. Um, we then bought Dorgu to play that role as a going up fullback, and then we realized that like actually no, this guy is actually a lot better as a left winger, who isn't in this team by the way. Cunha's in. The attacking up because what's interesting now about the top now is that the attacking options are stupid because I put Ahmad there, but I've left Mbeumo out. You've got Dorgu that can come in well. Rashford might still be around, who can still do something. So it's interesting. And it says Blaber can fill in at left back if needed, if need be. Brighton. Oh, that's interesting. That is interesting. That is very interesting. Maybe that's another reason why Manchester United got him. I think it was the same reason why they were thinking about getting Lewis Skelly because um, Lewis Skelly is a left back but can also fit in as midfield. So maybe that was one of the reasons why they. I would have liked Lewis Skelly, by the way. I'm not gonna lie, I would have because I think he would have solved our left back problem and he could solve the midfield problem as well. So yeah, it's possible that we could use him there. Um, it would be a risk. And again, I keep on saying it's just like I don't know why Manchester United. Why can't we just buy a left back? Why is it that Manchester United always have to makeshift players into things? Just buy a left back. Whether it's Lewis Hall or Balde from Barcelona, though I think injury wise there might be issues there. But just buy a left back, man. Come on, just buy a left back, guys. Um, Thanks to that clown Ten Hag for handing out these huge contracts to Luke. Yeah, bro. I've said RSV. I got clowned on this on HH's stream. I said Ten Hag. I know people say Amram was the worst manager because of the way he finished, etc. But I've said so many times that Ten Hag, and I think it was probably because there was some dodgy dealings he had with his uh company, whatever. Ten Hag is the one that set Manchester United back. Um, far, far back. It was Ten Hag. And the board's decision not to sack him after the FA Cup. If they sacked him in the FA Cup, I think we cut our losses. But they gave him extension. He Ten Hag for me was the worst manager that Manchester United had since post Fergie. Not because oh yeah, but he won trophies and things. Yeah, but when you look at the fact that what you've just said here, handing out, allowing huge contracts to Shaw, Rashford, Dallo, which is why we're not being able to sell them, which is not to resell them, not just them, but also the players that he bought. How many players that Ten Hag has actually bought are in this team? Let's just quickly look at this, because he wasn't he was only our coach. What, maybe just over 2 years ago? It wasn't that long ago. And yet, if you look into this team, aside from Martinez, who he brought, who is somewhat injury prone now, but then none of these players he didn't. Did he bring Matswari in? I can't remember if he brought Matswari in, whether that was him or whether that was Amram. He didn't bring in Mainu, Academy. He didn't like Ahmad. Obviously, some play. We didn't bring in Heaven. Bruno was here. Bruno was Ollie. Seska was Amarim. Cunha was Amarim. Lemons was Amarim. Luke Shaw, if he comes in, is not him. Like what? Ericsson, um, so many players that aren't here anymore. Casemiro, I think maybe came in, he's gone now. And that was a manager that was here 2 years ago, and yet you have seen no resemblance of any mark of his on the squad, aside from maybe Lisandro. That's it. Crazy, crazy. Baleba is also left footed, which gives us. Oh, that's good. Okay, that's good. 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 I'm hearing that he's injured though, which is worrying me. I'm hearing that he's injured, but it's not a long term injury. Um, yeah, Brighton used him as left foot before. As David T. Big up. I'm going to get into the fixtures in a second. I'll just finish reading your comments. Um, the only manager whom I truly wished failure upon after leaving manager was Eric Ten Hag. I don't hate Amram the way I hate Ten Hag. I'm really fixed the locker room and left us exactly. And also, he left us players that he left us with good players, good signings. you know, you got Cunha, you got Mbuemo. He actually gave confidence to Ahmad, who's improved. We got a better goalkeeper. Ten Hag signed Onana, who was one of the worst goalkeepers that we've had. Ten Hag brought in Ericsson, who was okay a little bit and then got injured. We spent tons of money on Hoyland, then sold him. Over egoed with Rashford. Fell out with Sancho, just fair enough, because Sancho's a bit of a bum. I mean, who else did he buy? I mean, Xerxes, again, not really worked out. Might be sold to someone, might stay, although I think he's all right footballer, but he's not world class or anything. And obviously, Lisandro, Anthony, almost 100 million on that guy. Flop, sold him, just there was just nothing from this guy. So, anyway, Amram took over when we were 12th in the league after 10. And took over when we were 12th in the league after, which I agree with. I agree. I still think Amram was a bit of a bum, persisting with that whole formation that he did and bring on defenders when we were trying to chase games. But I agree with you. 600 million exactly on Mount, Onana, Anthony Hoyland. It was also his decision to not work with Ragnick as a sporting director as he wanted full control. He never would. Yeah, exactly. Ragnick as a sporting director would have been, if we had made the decision to keep Rank to work with him, I think this club would have been in a way better position. And I think that's one of the reasons why Ineos was like, "Nah, we can't do this whole full control thing anymore," because we tried it with Eric Ten Hag, it didn't work. And I think Amram thought, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna get full control," and I was like, "No, no, we're not doing that anymore. We're not doing that anymore." And I understand why. Because people say, "Oh, spend the money, get full control of the manager, back the manager." I get that. When you back the manager and you waste that money on Mount, Onana, Anthony Hoyland, and Ericsson, Xerxes, who, there's not the only, like I said, signing I can think of positive signing was Lisandro, and Lisandro is injury prone. Ollie bought Bruno. and he's been one of our best players. Whatever you say about him, he's been one of our best players. And he brought Ahmad. So I can. Oh well, there's what Ollie showed. Amrim bought Cunha, who's a baller, and then Bremer, who's been helpful, and Lemons, who's a decent goalkeeper. Even Mourinho, what's the name? Dutch manager bought Luke Shaw, who's at least still in the squads somewhat. I don't know who Mourinho bought. That was. I mean, Mourinho bought McTominay. Yeah. United's Steve Maxim, Manchester United's Onana run is a miracle. We went into games with a keeper fight. No, bro, we're gonna go into the Champions League with a goalkeeper that can at least save. We're qualifying. Don't worry. Don't worry. He was using our football club as a piggy bank to fund exactly, SV, exactly. This is why I can't stand this guy. I've got no doubt this Dutch bold fraud. That's why RSV, and I'm going. I'll end this. I'll come back to this thing before the last thing. Why do you think that when he left United and he went to was it Bayer Leverkusen? Literally before the season started, um, he got sacked. Before the season started with Bayer Leverkusen, in the pre-season thing, he got sacked. I was like, that's so strange. The season hasn't started yet, or there's maybe been one game, and they sacked Ten Hag. And no one was like, that's not weird. This is why. They were onto him. The Germans knew. The Germans were onto him like, nah. We know what we don't ride that way, no. Baleba has an injury before which left him out for one game. This current injury had him out for 2 weeks as a transfer market. Okay. So but obviously he's not gonna be fit. Klopp didn't have full control over exactly when they're competing with England themselves. Same goes to Pepsi. They had a sworn direct, a proper recruitment team. And as much as I have issues with Ineos, at the end of the day, that's what this is, and we've got to deal with it. And the reality is that Arsenal, a lot of Arsenal fans back in the day were saying that what they had, they weren't against it. I don't see many Arsenal fans now saying Arteta out or Kroenke out or any of that stuff. They're not saying that anymore. They're not saying it. They're not saying it. They're not saying it. Why are they not saying it? They were saying it before. They're not saying it now. Arteta is the longest serving manager under a longer serving structure. So for me, I just see it as let's just see what happens. Let's see what happens. Mount signing killed E2. Oh, the treatment meant we needed a new goalkeeper. Still to forget. Oh yeah. Oh no. Oh no, it was wild, Stephanie. Oh no, it was wild. But it was oh no. It was oh no. It was. Let me quickly go on to. So we're gonna next thing. We're just gonna quickly go on to the upcoming fixtures, and then we're gonna quickly do my our Premier League prediction table. Well, big up everyone who's staying up late as well. So it's about what time is it now in the UK? It is 22 minutes past 11 in the UK. So thank you for staying up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna quickly where's the fixtures here? And I'll quickly share this tab so hopefully everyone can see. And we're just going to focus on the top 10 fixtures so far. And I'll come back to your comments in a second. And so let me know what you think in the chat as well. So hopefully everyone can see that. So for the first 10 fixtures at least, and what you think of the runners. So August, you've got Hull away and you've got Ipswich at home. Big up McKenna. Good to see McKenna back. Hull City away, Ipswich at home. Then September, Everton away, Man City at home, Fulham away. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then Spurs at home, 6. Leeds away, 7. Bournemouth at home, 8. Chelsea away, 9. And Aston Villa at home, 10. Now I look at those figures and that's not a bad run. That's not a bad run. You'd hope we need to get at least 6 points in the first games. We need to beat Hull City and Ipswich. We should be beating them. Definitely beating Hull City because they come and definitely beating Ipswich away. That's 6 points. Everton away. We do we're pretty decent away at Everton. When we're on the form, we're pretty decent away at Everton. So if we, especially if players start to come back, I think we can beat Everton away, especially if Sesko is back at that depth. Man City at home is going to be interesting. I don't know because it is at home as opposed to away, and last season we cooked them badly. I still remember that game. We cooked them at Old Trafford. That game should have been 7-0 to Manchester United. Carrick put on a masterclass and exposed the bold fraud. They've got another bold fraud now, but it'll be interesting to see how Manchester City are because obviously this transfer window is not over yet. So they've still got, I mean, they're still technically not signed the Boedi guy or Enzo. The only midfield sign they made technically still is just uh, Anderson, but of course they've now sold Savinho, so they're probably going to use that money, I would assume, to pay for Buwadi. And then if they can get the Mamouche deal, then I guess that means that they might bid for Renzo. But I guess my point is that they need to fix that DM situation because if they don't, with that Roger-shaped goal, City are going to be exposed, in my personal opinion. Because I see a defense there that's still not that great at all, and then and that's now been exposed. And of course, you always got Haaland, and then you got a new manager who, play style wise, is not the same as Pep. Really, I mean, he has a possession, but it's not the same really. So I think City, depending on how City start, City might at home, City might be there to be taken. Fulham away is always a bit tricky. You know, I think they do have a new manager. I think didn't thingy Silver leave is the only thing. So I would expect a draw, but maybe depending. It depends again because I think they have got a new manager in. But Fulham away is always tricky. I wouldn't be surprised if we drop points there. Maybe a draw. Um, I'll just take a break for a second. Just go back to comments before I finish number five. Um, yeah, because the Bayern Munich weren't full of clowns and knew that what they were doing. Man United pre-Enos that had Richard Arnold. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Question says that I recall every time first wonder he wanted De Jong, Timber, and Net Nunes. He got none of them, but would they? No, no. One, I don't think he would known how to use them. But two, De Jong, as has been shown at Barcelona, he's okay, but I don't know whether he would have adapted to him just like Van de Beek. Timber, I think Timber would have, but I think other players also would have, and also Timber, I think has one or two injury issues, and then Nunes definitely not. Darwin Nunes definitely not. Not Noon. No, no, that's that. That would have been a worse signing than Hoyland, and I don't think even Hoyland was that even bad of a signing. Um, Steve says the midfield signings. I do think Carrick is playing a 4-3-3 in the big games. I do think he'll play three of the four midfielders in games. Carrick feels are going to be tough, especially protecting the back line. Exactly. I would agree with that. I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that. Addressing it was a long, yeah, exactly. We've addressed it, and that's the most important thing. Now, if we can just get a left back, I think I'll be a bit more confident going into the season. Um, you know, if Xerxes goes, then if we can get my ideal was if you get a left back, if we can get Hall, and if Xerxes goes, get Mateta, I'll be like, right, okay, I think we're ready. We can go into the season to at least be able to compete somewhat. Oh, big up Eddie, man. Big up Eddie. Big up Eddie. Thanks for joining. Big up Eddie. Big up Eddie. Yeah, Maresca is a wannabe Pep. Carrick should play the same style that Neutralize put. Yeah, exactly, exactly. That absolutely destroyed them. Last summer he must fix the attacking up, but this summer it is midfield and hopefully left back, and next summer will be the rest of the defense. It is babes up exactly, exactly. But again, it's what Arsenal did. It's what Arsenal did. It's what Arsenal did. And at the end of the day, for me, that's why I'm saying for me this season is about maintenance. What I don't want because you've got third season syndrome, we've got regression, we've gone up and downwards. Can we just maintain? You know, secure top five again. Ideally finish either third again or fourth, whatever it is, but secure that level, progress. In the cup, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, Champions League to a reasonable thing, and then build. That for me is it. This is a maintenance season. You know, I'll get concerned if we regress, but with the squad that we have, and where the Premier League is, I'll get to my Premier League predictions in a second. I think we should be at least be easily making top five this season. One, two, three, four, five. Bournemouth at home. Bournemouth at home are always an issue. I think we might drop points there. I think that we might drop points there. It'll be 1-1. Chelsea away. Chelsea a wild card for me. I don't know what Alonso's gonna do. Um, we usually do well at Chelsea against Chelsea, even away. Um, I think we'll beat them. I think we'll beat them. I think we'll beat Chelsea away. Um, but they are a wild card. I've not watched enough Chelsea preseason to know what Alonso's cooking. Signing wise, they've got Morgan Rogers and the Crystal Palace guy, but has that? But if Enzo goes to City, for example, um, are they still good? I look at the attack as well. Um, what's Chelsea's attack? Cole Palmer didn't have a good season. They've only got one game season, but Cole Palmer wasn't great. Um, Jao Pedro, okay. They just don't, and you still got Delap. I don't. Do they sign any other attackers? Don't think so. Um, so where are we? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. And then Villa at home. Yeah, we should beat Villa at home. I love Emery's cool. Emery's fine, but away maybe. But Villa at home, I think we've got enough to beat Villa at home. So to be honest, I'm looking at the first 10 fixtures and thinking we should be winning at least most of these. Dropping points to me are just maybe Fulham, potentially City if they start well, but I don't think they will. And it is at home, so I think we should win. Um, we've got Spurs at home. I didn't actually mention Spurs and Leeds actually. Spurs at home. Um, again, will be unpredictable, but we are at home. It is Spurs, but it is De Zerbi, and they've got a new midfield, so maybe we might drop points there. I'm not entirely sure, but it is at home, so there's our advantage there. And Leeds away. Oh God, man. Yeah. Uh, I don't know. Leeds just playing Leeds playing United at home is like a cup final for them at the end of the day. I was quite angry that we didn't that we I think we drew to them last time. I don't want that to happen again. Um, so but I wouldn't be surprised if we draw against them. So I see mostly wins, but potentially a few draws from what I can see. But it's just there's so many variables. It's difficult to kind of be definitive. Um, I still have mixed feelings with Ineos, but you do got to be patient and maintain stability. But honestly, at the end of the day, stability these days is the aim of the game. If you look at um, the teams that have won the Champions League and Premier League recently, yes, it is teams that have spent money. Of course, money's part of it, but at the end of the day, it's also teams that have maintained some form of stability. That's just the case. Arsenal where they are because they maintain stability. Um, and I think clubs are realizing, unless it's because you got to be remember, um, uh, what's his name? Maresca wasn't sacked by Chelsea. United didn't sack Amorim. Those managers put themselves in a position to be sacked. But had Amorim not had just got cracked on and done his job, etc., he wouldn't have been sacked, and he would have Maresca. Unless it was completely and totally untenable. That's my only thing for Spurs, for example, because they've sacked so many different managers, and they Spurs is the only team, and to a certain extent Chelsea, are the only teams where where like it's a gamble, and it's more of a gamble for Spurs, purely because for some reason they've decided to spend um, hundreds of millions of pounds, and if it doesn't work, they're screwed. And I appreciate it because they almost got relegated and they've only got one game season, so they shouldn't be. But Spurs is where the gamble is. Also, Spurs are moving like exactly Manchester under Woodward Arnold from 20 to 24. They're throwing money at a problem, hoping it will work. None of the signs they don't, and that's why I say it's a gamble. Their bet is on De Zerbi to do something with these players. And if he does, because they've only got one game season, getting back to the Premier League, fine, okay. I mean, I can't imagine after spending this amount of money that Spurs are going to finish bottom table. They've got to at least finish in the top seven, at least top five, especially now. Well, we'll come to that in a second. We'll come to that. We'll come to that. The backline is a problem. Can't have to overload the midfield to massive. It is. But I don't necessarily think as much of a problem as we think, especially with like the likes of Heaven, if Lizandro's fit, and so on, with Matsuari there, and if we get a new left back, you know, it's. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I don't necessarily think it's as big of a problem as we think it is. Um, yeah, I don't think so. Especially now that we have a keeper who is somewhat competent. Um, but the protection, you're right, is there. I think the protection is important. Um, so with that in mind, let's quickly switch and clip this, but to Premier League predictions now. And definitely get involved for this, guys, because I want this to be um, a channel group sort of thing. And just let me know if you agree or disagree. But yeah, we're gonna move on to this. So I'm gonna share this tab and share this tier list because this is gonna be. It's not gonna be in a particular order, to be honest. I'll put it in presentation mode because that. So, um, but can you live stream from Tier Maker? Maybe you can. I don't know. It's a bit strange. Maybe you can. Um, but yeah, so what we have here is we have champions, Champions League, which is second and fourth. Although what I might do is I might change that to, in fact, I might adjust that actually, because let's be real, champ. I'm not getting ahead of myself, but I probably think that Champions League positions are going to be from second to fifth again. I think the English teams are still going to do reasonably well in all competitions. That we're going to probably the fifth spot is probably going to be that coefficient thing. So fifth place is probably going to be Champions League again. I know people might say, "Oh, it's too." It probably is, um, and so you're probably going to get something like this, and then seventh, and then eighth. So I'm just going to just adjust that, and then ninth, and then 13th, 17th, and stuff like that. Um, so here we are. Let's first I'll just quickly see if there's any comments here. Um, Spurs will finish at least sixth or seventh, and at worst, well, Spurs are just wasting the market. Marshall overpays me. Average man compares it. Gambling and expression, bro. Let's not get started on the. I mean, ever since the Anderson spend, which was like 120 mil, the market for midfielders has just been broken this season. Spurs haven't helped. Um, yeah, they're just not helped at all. Um, it will be interesting to see um, how many managers, new managers, if United have planned properly for the next extra game next week, need more big signings. Agreed. Arsenal again. Well, let's have a look. Let's let me know what you think and thoughts, guys. I'm not going to go in particular order, but I'm going to go in order of ease. Um, and yeah, I think Arsenal are going to win it again. I think they're going to go back to back. I think they are. Um, I just think that now, because before it was like we've not won a league in ages, and it's going to take a long time. Um, Now they don't have that anymore, so they can play without pressure. Even though they're still going to play the tactics and they're still good at set pieces, as we can see from today's game. Even though there's going to be these new laws, etc., maybe they might help a little bit. I just think Arsenal are just going to have too much. They've got a good squad. They're adding to that as well, especially if players get injured. Um, they've now been able to manage, unlike other teams like United and Chelsea and Villa, where they've yet to have a squad where they can manage the Premier League and the Champions League. Arsenal can do that. Arsenal won the Premier League in a competitive Premier League, played in four competitions and got to the Champions League final. I know PSG won it at the end of the day, and that's important. But PSG, I think they knocked out one cup competition, and they basically just rested their players for the Premier League, in La Liga, which isn't as no one as competitive as the Premier League. So that tells you how they've been able to you know to completely manage their squad, and now they're adding to that. So I think if I was me, I think I would say that yeah, Chelsea, Arsenal, so are probably going to be top and champions again. So second, third, fourth, fifth. So these are the Champions League spots. Now I don't want to put these in a particular order. Well, maybe I should. Maybe I should. Maybe I should. Hold on to your thing. Okay, who do I think is going to finish second? Who do I think is going to finish second? Maybe this is a bold prediction, and I'm sure I'm going to get clipped to this. But based on what I've seen so far, I think it might be United. I think it might be United. And why I say it might be United is just because it's just because it's the consistency. City, potentially the loss of Rodri, Maresca settling in first season. Is he gonna be like a Moyes? Liverpool also got a new manager, but not really backed their new manager and look weaker. Um, and Chelsea also new manager, sort of backed him, but again new league, etc. I don't know. I'm saying Carrick not because I think Carrick is a really really good manager, because the other clubs have more variables. We've already seen what Carrick is going to do, how he's going to play, and what he's added to him. He's already worked with the team, with the players. So he's just building on last season. Maresca, Areola, and Alonso are starting something new, and they might smash it, but they might not. Areola at least, has Premier League experience with the Bournemouth, so I think he'll be, which is why I think Chelsea will probably finish top where they are. But I'm not sure. That said, I still think that I think Manchester City will finish third. I think their squad depth is enough that they should still um, finish high. I don't see them finishing dropping out of the top five or anything like that. Um, Now, here's where it gets interesting. Now, on the previous season, I said Newcastle and Villa. The problem, though, is that Newcastle lost a lot of players. I don't think going to be nowhere near as strong. Um, I liked. It's a weird one here because fourth and fifth, fourth and fifth from league. Do Liverpool have enough with the way they played with Alvaro manager? They've got to surely. I can't see any of the teams. They've got to. I'll put Liverpool fourth, but that's a really reluctant one because Liverpool, it didn't end last season well, and they've not made that many good signings. Um, but they still finished in the Champions League spaces, and they've signed a better manager. So I think Liverpool, I think Liverpool will still finish up there. At least that's what I think. Um, Chelsea, for me, it's going to be between Villa and Chelsea. And my issue with Villa is that, and why I'll put maybe Chelsea just above Villa, right, is solely just because, like I've seen with Villa so many times before, when they've had to play in the Champions League, I just don't think the squad is there yet. Emery's a good manager. He's a coach. He's won and he wins the Europa League, and I think he'll do decent in the Champions League. But I just don't think the squad is there yet to compete on all fronts. And when they've been in the Premier League, Champions League, they've suffered in the league. Even last season when they opened, they suffered in the league. They will suffer in the league, but I don't think. But because Emery's such a good coach, I don't think they'll suffer enough. So I think that they'll probably finish in the Europa League spot, which is still good for Villa. Exactly, Villa will finish sixth. That's what I think. That's what I think. Um, Now, who comes seventh? That's where things get interesting. With who that's left. Um, I've not looked actually at how Sun. I was gonna say Sunderland, but again, they're in Europe now. I'm not really sure how many signings they've made. And again, these teams, these mid-table teams, where they go into Europe, they do suffer domestically. I think that's going to be one of the things that's going to be one of the issues about this. Actually, one of the variables actually about this Premier League season, this season is that when you've got, I think, 9 teams, because I think if I remember, all these teams are in well, okay, not Chelsea, but Arsenal, United, City, Liverpool, and Villa in the Champions League. I think it's Brighton and Sunderland and Bournemouth that are in the Europa League, and Crystal Palace is in Europa League, and then I think it's Brighton that's in the Conference League. So you've got five, three, 9 teams, almost half the league that were playing European football. It's gonna affect the league. It's gonna affect position. And those bottom teams, I'm saying, I don't think they have the squad to do those. Even though I think that they'll be stronger than some of those squads in the leagues, it's still going to affect their league position. So that's where I feel from here to 12 is difficult to predict because of how they're going to be affected. Um, I mean, I'm interested to see what people's thoughts are in the comments because it's going to be difficult for me to predict it. Um, let's have a look. See, seventh will be Bournemouth and eighth will be Tottenham. I actually think the key thing is I actually think Tottenham will get in the Europa League is seventh. Um, and it's purely because I think that Bournemouth are going to be affected by European football. I'd agree with you, but I think they're going to be affected by playing in the Europa League. Like, just it's fine now at the beginning, but when it gets to the second half of the season, when injuries rack up, when games hit thick and fast, like it's going to affect them. Big up SSB, man. Good say, well, yeah, it is back. It is back. It is back. It is back. United second. Wow. I think third's on something because of Cherky and Stack squad third. Okay. Like I said, the only reason I'm saying United second is purely consistency tax. Because at the end of the day, much like when Sir Alex Ferguson went to David Moyes, Maresca is not a continuation of Pep. He's a different manager with a different, not a completely different place. It's still possession, but it's not the same, and also the loss of certain key players, specifically Rodri. They've still got the attack, but I just feel like there's too many variables with City right now. Um, and that defense I still think is a problem. They can score goals, as you said. They've got Cherky, they've got Stakov, but what's their defense? I don't think the City defense is that good. And you've now you've removed a key player in Rodri who protects that defense. You know, I know the Community Shield is it's not to be smarter, it's nothing, but you still get 3 goals is not, you know, but we'll see. Yes, I think Villa will fall off. They lost 6 guys. I agree as well. I agree as well. But Emery's a good coach as well. So I don't know. Um, let me think. I think what I'll do is I'll put Tottenham in. Where's Tottenham? Where's Tottenham? Do they not have Spurs here? Wow, it's a preview maker. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, they missed out Spurs. Wow, sorry about that, guys. There's no Spurs icon. I was like, where's Spurs? Oh, okay. So Spurs, just imagine invisible visibility. Spurs is actually, I'll put Spurs in sixth, I think, and then Villa in seventh. Um, um, and then what I'll probably do is I'll put so Spurs should be here in sixth and Villa in seventh. And then what I'll do is I'll probably put Brentford here because Brentford aren't playing in Europe. And so I think Brentford could have a decent season. They're a good team. Arguably, Brentford could probably come even seventh, and Villa. In fact, actually, you know what? I'll put Villa here because I think you're right. They might have a drop off, and I put Spurs here, Brentford and Spurs in the Europa League positions. I think that makes sense. Um, then Villa Conference League, and then I think then um, from ninth to 12th, I think that's when you see. I think in no particular order, but I think you probably will have like Everton, Fulham, um, uh, probably Brighton somewhere here. Um, and then yeah, Bournemouth. I don't think they're going to that far. Find Bournemouth. Yeah, that's what I think. Um, and then I'll just finish my turn before I go to comments, and then we're going to preview the game. Um, so ninth, 10th, 11th, 9, 10, 11, 12. So four. So no particular order, but that's where I think that they'll be. Um, and maybe you could put Fulham in, for instance, instead of Everton, and switch them there probably. Do something like that. 13, 14. Okay, so I think for me, Sunderland, I think, like I said, I think they're going to be affected by the European football. Um, but I also think Newcastle, not because they're going to affect the European football, but because they've lost so many players and they've not rebuilt. And they've got a new manager, and I think that the Newcastle project is looking in significant doubt because it looks like they're a team that can't spend enough money, can't get players they keep them to want, and it's like a picking carcass. And maybe the Saudi money is flashing out because of certain events elsewhere. Um, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So no particular, but I think this might be the order. Palace, I think, as well, will be because they'll, again, one of the teams I think will be affected by European football. Um, Now, this is interesting because the next two are the teams that I don't think are going to be relegated. So I think Leeds are probably not going to be relegated. Leeds will be fine. But I think they'll again be in this kind of position here. Um, um, who are any? It's difficult. Are any of the teams that promoted going to stay up? I don't think. I don't think Coventry are going to stay up. Um, this is a tricky one. Could Leeds go down? Nah, they've got too much strength. And Forest can. You know what? I actually think they. I'm thinking it more might go back down again. I've not seen them play yet, but the only reason why I say that is just because Leeds just have too much quality. I know these guys are going to be distracted by European football, but I still think they'll have enough to stay up. And Forest, the owner, like, is a madman, and he will buy and he will spend whatever to get the players to stay up. I mean, he kept Morgan Gibbs White, didn't he? Um, so I don't know. I think we might have another Premier League season with these guys. I'm welcome to be surprised, um, because obviously Sunderland stayed up. Um, but Sunderland, from what I saw last season, looked like, I mean, Sunderland finished seventh last season. They could cut some European football, but they look like a team that's got a solid defense, um, and can build from that. Um, but that's what I think. Let me know what you guys think in the chat, and then we'll move on finally to the preview for the game. Geez, I've been streaming for 120 hours. I need to go to bed. I've got work in the morning. Um, Let me have a look. SSB, yeah. So City is done. They're going for a rebuild. It's going to exactly. This is what I'm saying. I feel City are going for a rebuild. Um, and when you go for a rebuild, you can't expect to be consistent. United are also going for a rebuild, but United's rebuild is arguably further ahead than City's, predominantly because we've had a manager for longer. That's the difference, really. I mean, I look at City and I think the midfield. Now that you've lost Rodri, what is the midfield really? The defense. In fact, let's let me see City's uh City lineup. Yeah, I mean, okay. Mateus Nunes, Ruben Diaz, Guardiola, O'Reilly, Bernardo Silva, Gonzalez, Foden, Cherky, Holland, Dorku, and obviously, um, Boadi and maybe Enzo come into that. But I mean, look at that. Like, I mean, Bernardo Silva he's not a spring chicken anymore. Cherky, yes, fine, but again, can be hot or cold. Likewise with Doku, who's just a pace merchant at times. Haaland, we know Haaland will score, but if he doesn't score, he doesn't really do much else. Um, that's not a team. I'm not. That's not a team I'm looking at. I'm going, oh my goodness, I'm so scared. You know, I don't know. I don't know. Um, I don't know. Um, exactly. Even with what you said, it's exactly. Um, but yeah, those are my thoughts. Arsenal champions. So I want to just get some water because mm, I spoke so much. Um, but yeah, even with I still think it's going to be a problem. But yeah, those are my predictions. Let me know your thoughts. Remember, guys, if you're watching, want to share and subscribe to Red Devil Super. Make sure you head over to. I see there's quite a few people watching on Red Devil Studio Extra. Guys, subscribe to my second channel, Red Devil Studio Extra, as well. If you've not already, please do. It means a lot. And also my second channel, Red Devil Multiverse. I've just posted X-Men Season 2 review trailer review and also Doomsday. But if there's anything, in fact, I've always said if there's recommendations of things you want me to watch or review, please let me know. I want to try and start doing that so we can kind of we can kind of do that as well. So, but yeah, please subscribe wherever you're watching. Hit that subscribe button. It makes a lot. YouTube are making things a lot harder for small content creators like myself. So please do. It means it means a lot. Please do. It means a lot. Um. Oh, it looks like Aston Villa may be wanting to um uh want to get Xerxes. That's something. Um. SMV, although with Villa, Madrid looks like he had a season of potential 17 years ago, giving Marquinhos some Pacho hell. He's like Diego Costa and Lukaku child. Interesting. That is true. He does look like he looks like a problem. Looks like a problem. Looks like he might dunk on people. That sort of like I saw him against PSG and I was just like interesting. So that's what I'm saying. Emery's a good coach, so Emery will be able to get good with what he's provided. So we'll see. We'll see. Um, so let's go with the final thing. I'm gonna bring back up the lineup maker again. Um, so we're gonna wrap up here in a second, and we'll just a brief and clip this, but a brief Hull versus United preview. So obviously it's the first game of the season. Tomorrow I have 12. I wish I was doing watch long. Unfortunately, I cannot. So I'm working. And let me, in fact, what we, I was gonna, how you happy? What a lot of people are happy with the signing. Uh, I'm just gonna end the poll now, and just start a new poll saying, score predictions: United versus Hull. Score predictions. Okay, win, draw or loss, let me know in the chat. Um, what do you think? Because um, yeah, just going back to just going to the lineup. I'll obviously change this, but this is the United starting 11 until 11 versus let's see, versus Hull. So United versus Hull. So obviously it is going to be Lemons in goal. Um, I think probably Martinez is not back, so I think it will be he's it's too early for him. So it'll be Maguire. I should get rid. How do you get rid of these? Remove, and then I think it will probably be Maguire and Heaven. I think as opposed to Euro. That's what I think. Um, Now I think sure it's gonna be sure. It's gotta be sure. He probably could. It's Hull, so it's probably is going to be short. Even though I think it's gotta be short, or it's not sure. It's not really feeling with much confidence because he can be exposed. Um, and then I think Matsuara will probably be there or Dallo, but I'm just sort of keeping it that way. Obviously, Balabra is not going to be at the club yet, so it's not going to be him. But I think it might we might see Santos. I think we might see Santos here. I think you might see a Santos. Now, saying it's a bit too early for Mainu, from what I'm hearing. I think, and it's that, so maybe Mainu doesn't start. And then you probably have, um, you can probably play Tillemans. You can probably play Tillemans with Bruno. I think you can do that against Hull. Um, because we obviously Blabe's not here yet. Mainu, I think, is still a bit too early for him. Um, Cunha as well. So I think Cunha will not be here, as is will Rashford. So I think Dorgu will probably come in here. Um, uh, Sesko is out injured still. He's not going to be fit, so it'll be probably be a Buemo up top. Um, and then I think Ahmad. So I think this looks like what the team will be, with the notable exception of this issue against Hull. Lemons in goal, probably Matswari, Heaven, Maguire, and Shaw. Back four is a problem, but okay. Then Andrew Santos, Tillemans, and Bruno Fernandes, um, with Mainu, etc. on the bench, probably. Then Dorgu on the left, Ahmad on the right, and then Buemo on top, because I think that's probably close to what the starting lineup is going to be. Um, because I think it's maybe a bit too early for Cunha and Mainu. And Mount is obviously injured, Seska's injured, we don't have Baleba yet. Xerxes, probably bench. Rashford still probably trying to figure out his futures, are probably not going to be in the squad. And the reality is, I think this should be enough to beat Holloway. I'm sorry. If this team, which has if this team, which has most of our starting players, if this team, which has most of our starting players, can't beat Hull, then we're in for a difficult season. It's as simple as that. It, oh, hold on for 1 second. Okay. If this team, if it can't beat Hull, it has to. I'm sorry, it has to, guys. It has to. This team has to beat Hull. If it can't beat Hull, I mean, bearing in mind that most of these players here are gonna be starters, you might bring in Mainu here, and Baleba to help with the midfield. So the midfield will be slightly different. Okay, I'll give you that. And then maybe Lizandra comes in, you left back. So okay, there are fixes here. Cunha obviously come in as well. So it's not the starting team, but this should be a big enough team to beat Hull. And my score prediction in that respect is uh his first game of the season will be a bit sluggish, but I think 2-0. I think 2-0 Manchester United away. Get the season up and running. Really need to kind of start well this season. We're going to have a good season. The first game is imperative. Hull will be up for it. They've been back in the Premier League, not been in the Premier League for a while, so they're going to give it a good go. But we need to go for it. we need to go for it and show them welcome back to Premier League. And ultimately, we have the um, tell them that we actually have the ability to do it. Simple as that, and we should do it. There's no no doubt about it. We should be beating these guys. So, but that's my 2 cents. Anyway, guys, oh, that's a long 1.5 hour stream. I need to go to bed now because I've got work tomorrow. But remember, guys, if you are new to the channel, thanks everyone who got involved. Stephanie, RSV, Eddie, SSB, Steve, Rohit, Stephanie, everyone that got involved in the chat, David T as well. Really appreciate you. It's been a really fun and good stream, and streams can only be good when you've got the community that is there. So I appreciate it. For everyone who's watching on Red Devil Studio X, which is my secondary channel, please go over and hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on the main channel studio, please subscribe to it if you haven't already. If you're watching on Twitch, follow me on Twitch, almost 100 followers. Please do that as well. Follow me on Twitter at Red Devil Studio X as well. Have a nice day, guys, and cheers. See you tomorrow for the match reaction. Peace.